Well, elections have consequences, but that doesn't always mean that they're bad.
Let's find out if they're friend or foe, and if they're foe, let's take care of those son of a.
And that's what we're going to look at today as I tell you something that I don't think any other president would be willing or take the time or even have the nerve to do when it comes to the Second Amendment. But Trump is standing up for regular citizens here in order to make sure that their rights are not trampled upon by the state in which they live. I'm going to tell you this crazy application process that some people have to go through in California, especially, where the application process in and of itself is an infringement, and the time they had to wait in order to get their permits is just absolutely insane. I'm going to fill you in on exactly what Trump is doing, and if you think your permitting process in your state is bad, which it probably is, this is actually a heck of a lot worse. I'm going to give you my opinion, and of course I want to hear yours. Whether you agree or disagree, let me know what you think down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So under Trump's direction, Pam Bondi actually puts out a statement saying that the Department of Justice is going to be looking into LA County and their permitting process for concealed carry applicants. Now, this came to their attention because a federal judge found that two people specifically waited 18 months in order to get their concealed carry permits. And so Pam Bondi said, hey, we're not going to allow, this Department of Justice isn't going to allow states to restrict the rights, Second Amendment rights of their citizens. Now, of course, respecting states' rights is important, but when they trample upon constitutional rights, that's where you would expect the federal government to step in and protect those rights, and that's exactly what they're looking at. Now, how they end up doing this, I think, is going to be brilliant. I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But when you hear the application process in California, you may appreciate your application process just a little bit more. For instance, I checked out the pricing of this, and essentially you have three different levels. Like if you just get a regular concealed carry permit, it's almost $300. I think it's like $270. And essentially they have it split up into two separate payments. So the three different levels are standard, judicial, and reserve. So essentially they make your just a standard regular citizen, they allow your permit to be good for 2 years. At that point you have to pay $77 to renew it. If you're a judge or somebody like that, somebody in the judicial system, essentially your permit's good for 3 years. If you're a police officer, it's going to be good for 4 years unless you end up quitting or retiring. Now, this is more than double for pretty much everybody across the board, no matter who you are and what role you are, whether a regular citizen, a judge, a police officer, whatever. Upwards of $300, by the way, for police officers. Now, along with that, you also have to have the guns that you are going to carry. And because there's like limited space that they have for the guns that you carry, you're going to want to put the ones that you're more likely to carry on your permit. So if you decide, hey, I'm going to carry my shield today instead of whatever, if it's not listed on your permit, then you could be facing, I don't know, misdemeanor charges and fines. But that's not all. Let's say you go through this process. There's something called live scan, and it's all digital, by the way. So when you go in, you're going to do live scan, and this is a electronic version of your fingerprints that are going to be sent off. Now, pretty much every state does this that I know of for the permit process, but I say that it's digital because this should actually be a much quicker process. But let's say you're somebody that's had a gun stolen from you and you didn't report that gun, or you've had quite a few guns stolen from you. Somebody breaks into your home. You weren't practicing the safe storage methods that California says you must have. How you prove that, I'm not quite sure. I guess if they see that you have a safe and it was broken into, they document that somehow that says, oh, well, this person did have them locked up and their safe was actually stolen, or whatever, right? Or maybe you had your entire safe stolen. They're like, hey, I had 15 guns in there. What are you supposed to do? Well, you could be denied a concealed carry permit because they see you as somebody that's irresponsible and not worthy of actually protecting yourself when you go out into the tent cities and other places that unfortunately have kind of ruined California, along with policies and infringements just like this. Now, of course, this is a county by county thing, and this issue is actually in LA County. So from the way I understand it, and California residents may be able to clear this up, but from what I understand, if you live in San Diego County, you can't carry in LA County, right? They are totally different. So they not only treat their state as if they're basically North Korea or China, but then each jurisdiction, each county is separate from the other. So it's not a statewide thing. Also, you must qualify with one of their approved vendors or whatever with each gun you intend on carrying. Now, the spot is only going to hold like 5 firearms. So if you intend to carry, 6 firearms, or 6 potential firearms, not 6 at a time, but, 6 potential firearms. Or maybe you do carry 6 at a time. I have no idea. You do you. But if you do that, then you have to get another card, right? Well, let's say, okay, well, that's 10. Let's say you have 15 carry guns and you like to alternate between all of them. Well, you got to have a third card then, and you got to carry them on you every single day, all 3 cards. Now, here's the other inglorious part about California and their concealed weapons permit process that I found interesting. You have to go through the Department of Justice and fill out an application in order to have those firearms basically registered under your name. So there's no standardized time limit in order to get them back to you. And these 2 people, this court found that they were legit in their claim, that it took 18 months in order to have their concealed weapon permit approved. And the court found reason to believe that other people have had to wait just as long. Well, the whole permitting process, regardless, is a joke, right? You're asking permission, and in this case, you're paying an exorbitant amount of money in order to exercise your rights. But then there's really no rush, and you're telling us straight up that they are actually understaffed to do this job and to handle the amount of people that are looking for a permit to carry in their county. So what are a lot of people going to do? They're either they don't have the money to do it, or they're going to say, dude, this isn't worth the hassle. Qualifying with the gun, going to the DOJ, putting these guns, registering them basically with the Department of Justice. If I travel between counties, now I got to do this in each county that I go to. And it's only good for 2 years. So every 2 years, I got to pay them almost $100 just to renew it. If I need to make a change, address change, whatever, that's $10 more. They are extorting gun owners out of money in order to exercise your rights. And now Trump and the Department of Justice says, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. So I'm going to be really interested to see how the Department of Justice handles this, and if they find that the federal court that found this infringement in the first place is correct. Will they sue LA County? Will they try to impose some kind of time limit here and say, look, you cannot infringe upon Second Amendment rights. And if you don't find within 60 days that there's any reason to infringe upon them, you must issue those permits. Now again, you have a states' rights issue here. And just because it would be working out for us in this case, you got to be a little bit careful there with the balance of power. Now, of course, DOJ can't make laws, right? That goes through Congress. But maybe there is some way that they can get a law passed, when it comes to these permits, because with concealed carry reciprocity coming up, and my belief is that that will be passed through, you can have states that can literally say, okay, you know what? They say that we're going to have to recognize concealed carry permits from another state. We're just going to take as much time as we want to in our own state. And that's what it looks like California is actually doing. So the separation of powers is one thing, but when a state is infringing upon a constitutional right, the federal government's job is to protect the rights of every citizen. And this is one of those things you just would not see any other president taking the time to stand up for 2 people, maybe a few more, maybe a lot more, but in this case, 2 people that have waited 18 months to get a concealed carry permit. You don't see stuff like this from any other president, and I think it is a total win for all of us. And a reminder to states that, yes, you can restrict guns on a state level as well, But that doesn't mean that the federal government cannot sue you for infringing upon those rights and make your life a little bit harder, that's for sure. So there you go, man. There's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know what you think about this down below. Do you think it's as big of a win as I do? Also, anybody in California that's gone through this process, is there something else here that I'm missing that actually makes it a lot worse than what I believe it already is? Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, hold 'em down.